Oh, I'm not going to do the humping today, Nick,
Uh,
but it is hump day, and we're back. Monday Evening Football Daily Show, baby. Hey, coming at you live. Hey, we got some good news stories today. There's a sad one mixed in there, but for the most part, it's all good. It's all goodness, essentially.
oh yeah.
Halfway through the week, we're just getting over that hump, ready for the decline into the weekend. Have yourself a great weekend. Hey, but if you're looking at the week like that, maybe change some stuff up in your life because every day is to be celebrated. Every day is to be enjoyed.
No
So
doubt.
I will say this: even though I do enjoy a lot of things, Nick, there is one thing lately I have not been enjoying, and that's been Fox Sports' take on these news stories, man,
I
because they
know.
are brutal. What did we have yesterday?
We
What
had
did he that they were spewing?
we
It
had
was some not.
that Julio Jones did not make the Titans a contender. That was the one we were pissed off about yesterday
I,
for good reason.
I mean, maybe if you were looking at it through the lens of the Titans were already a contender, so yeah, I guess technically he does not make them a contender, but that's not what the article was about. But now they have another one. Obviously, the lights are green, Nick. We know that means Aaron Rodgers hasn't reported the camp, but Fox Sports is out here reporting Aaron Rodgers versus Green Bay Packers. Who's your money on? It's not. I don't even think it's anything like that, where it's like, well, this guy's going to win or this guy's going to win. I think what you're going to see is either they're going to come together and they're going to both win and be happy, or they're both going to go their separate ways. And I'm going to guarantee it that Aaron Rodgers, he's going to go on to win in life, and the Packers are going to go on to win in life as well. So I tell you what, I'm a little fed up with Fox. A little fed up with
Me
Fox.
too. It's 2 days in a row now that Fox Sports has decided to, in my opinion, run articles with headlines that are ridiculous. And the articles themselves are kind of ridiculous too. I mean, the arguments that they're making here is like, it comes on the same day as you have other reporting that's talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Neither of them really wanted any of this to get out because they feel like
Yep.
fine. They're happy with each other. They just had a few things they wanted to work through privately. But this is not like some crazy situation. This is the same day that you have guys like Devontae Adams and David Bakhtiari say that they have Rodgers back and things like that. And yet Fox Sports decides to run an article as if this is some sort of negotiation to end all negotiations, and one will be a winner and one will be a loser. And I guess what pisses me off the most is you can see the narrative starting in the media for what this season is going to become. And I think
Yeah.
what they seem to be pointing at is that they're probably going to hang on to this fact that there is still a rift no matter what happens. They're going to try to
Yeah.
spin something like, there's still a rift. Should he have left? Shouldn't he? And I feel like, unfortunately, a place like Fox News, who, in my personal opinion, does terrible journalism the last 2 days, is deciding to run headlines like this. And it seems like they're going to spend all season going, we got kind of a slow news day. Let's talk about why Aaron Rodgers should have left. Or, we're having a slow news day. Let's talk about why he's probably still mad. And just say things that make no sense. Like all the other reporting that you and I are seeing does not point to some sort of who's going to win this holdout, who's going like it's insane, man. It's such a mischaracterization to me of the situation at hand.
Think within the next we see the news.
Hmm. I think I lost Scott here. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can bring Scott back. Let's see here.
Looks like I might have lost it.
Um, hmm. Just technical difficulty here on this beautiful Wednesday. At least where I'm at. A little hot out today, but uh, nothing nothing too terrible. Let me see if I can bring Scott back in here with uh with this little thing here. But anyway, I hope you guys are watching. Just bear with us for 1 sec. Let me bring Scott back in. I hope you guys are having a solid Wednesday. The weather's nice here, like I said. Let's see, we got Scotty back. He's back. All right.
We're back, baby.
All right.
But yeah, like I was saying, I'm sorry. I think I might have been in another conversation in there as well, one that I had started, which may have been the reason for that. Our technical team is great over here. They're always able to get the problems fixed, lickety split. But as I was saying, Nick, I think the next headline that is going to come out of Fox Sports surrounding Aaron Rodgers over the next week or two is probably going to be something so asinine like Aaron Rodgers was never happy in Green Bay. He wasn't even happy. He got drafted by the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Throughout all of his success, he wasn't happy. When he won the Super Bowl, he was the most miserable point of his entire life after hoisting up the Lombardi trophy. Is a narrative I could see coming out of Fox Sports after the last 2 days of this type of narrative.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you, I don't know what we're supposed to do with a bunch of conflicting reports that seemingly all have some sort of odd agenda when they are the on the negative side of this, right? Like the all of the negative reports with Aaron Rodgers seem to have some weird narrative that they are trying to paint, and I mean I get it because like this is the way the media works, but man, it it sucks to see headlines like this. And you know what? I am glad though that we've discovered this about Fox Sports because we can now act as the watchdog here and point out every time they do something absolutely stupid, like write a headline like this. And you know what? Maybe the journalist is a good guy. I'm not saying that he's,
For
it's
sure.
him all.
We're not attacking the journalist. We're just saying, the story you were put on to cover, you got to just send it right back to your boss and be like, no, I need another one.
For sure.
Because this is.
For sure.
Yeah. So just, a little awareness from the reporter or the journalist would be nice. But Fox Sports, you're being put on notice right now, okay?
That's it. Let them know.
Yeah. So, let's get into a little other controversies around people holding out, apparently. Apparently, Chandler Jones skipping Cardinals' mandatory minicamp ahead of contract season is means he's holding out because apparently, if a guy doesn't show up to a mandatory thing and doesn't say anything to the media that I'm holding out, I want more money, and it very well could be. But I love how the media just jumps to the conclusion of like, yeah, this guy's holding out because he wants to get locked down for a great contract extension or this, that, and the other. And it's like, maybe that is the case for Chandler Jones. That there's still some things that he wants to get taken care of before the season starts. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe he had somewhere to be. But the nice thing that I do like when I was reading the article is that inside the Arizona Cardinals facility, they knew what was going on with Chandler Jones. They know what's what's happening behind the scenes. They've had conversations with him. So I don't think it's anything drastic. Like, yeah, maybe he does want to get a deal done before this season, which is why he maybe held out a mandatory minicamp. We see it year in and year out, and it's kind of fun to be in this space now, Nick, with you. Now that we're really analyzing and diving deep into why these players are holding out, because a lot of it just seems like, I would say, advice from your agent to hold out so we can get this contract locked down.
Yeah.
But I don't never really think it's so much the player who's like, no, I'm gonna hold out, and the agent's like, no, let's go to camp and we'll get it figured out. I feel like whenever you do see a player hold out, I think that's the agent, showing them the leverage that they can use to help facilitate the deal. And you got a guy like Chandler Jones who's a fantastic player. Now given this year's in the fake salary cap and everything, because we all know you can just manipulate the fuck out of that to do whatever you want. And so
true.
I don't really know why there would be an excuse not to sign him if you are the Cardinals and you are looking to sign him, or at the very least say, hey, Chandler, we're after have a conversation of what do you expect in the future, or lay out those expectations for him so he knows, like, maybe after this year he's going to be entering free agency, which I'll be honest with you, next year to enter free agency I don't think is a terrible thing as a player, better than this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I think you'll see that salary cap bump, I'm sure. All the new media deals that they've done and stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the ugly sides of it, right? Because unfortunately, I think you find yourself in this position where you're in a rock and a hard place, right? This is kind of what I was talking about yesterday. I think you and I know a lot of people like this, right? Who they sort of feel like they should just sign whatever deal the team gives them, like shut up and play football, like all those types of people, right? But I do think that it's important that people remember, like, once again, put yourself in those shoes. Football is
Yeah.
their job and they enjoy their job. So if you're a person listening to this and you enjoy your job, which hopefully a fair amount of people do, like you're like, yeah, this job's cool, like I enjoy it. Maybe it's a dream come true. There's a lot of people where their job is a dream come true. But really, at the end of the day, if wherever you were working offered you a deal that you didn't think was the type of situation that you were worth, right? Like it wasn't really matching the value that you felt you brought to the organization. Like, wouldn't you have a grievance with that? Wouldn't you try to negotiate? Wouldn't you try to use your leverage to get a better deal? Like, at the end of the day, that's what's going on here. Like, these
Yep.
guys are trying to get a better deal, the agents for their client, right? And unfortunately, I think these are situations where the players always get painted as being like dramatic or like a bad
Yes.
teammate or something by not taking a bad deal, And I just think if you think someone's a bad teammate because they don't want to take a bad deal and they think they're worth more than they're being offered, and that makes them a bad teammate, I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I think you got to look in the mirror and really try to assess what you would do in that situation. Now, granted, look, once again, I get it. It's easy if you're making 40 grand a year to be like, "Hey, I'd take 2 million, who cares?" But like the reality is like at your same job where you're making 40, to be honest, if you felt like the going rate was 55, you'd probably try to get 55. So,
For sure.
I don't know.
And there's probably someone out there making 20 that would be very happy with that 40,
Mm,
you know? So it's all perspective at
for
the end
sure.
of the day.
For sure. So
But
yeah, I'm never gonna blame a guy for trying to get more money, especially,
uh,
not like you said
it,
with this fake salary cap and billionaire owners and
yeah,
tickets cost like $1 trillion to bring a family of four, like you gotta take out a mortgage. It's just nuts, man. Like it's nuts. Like,
yeah.
I guess it's nuts to blame a player for trying to get, a
Yeah.
situation that he's
And
comfortable with.
for sure. And if you think him in contract negotiations or trying to get himself set up to be on the team for the next 4 or 5 years, 3 to 4, whatever, is making him a bad teammate, well, I'm just going to be out here to tell you you're wrong. So,
It's just
but
that easy.
speaking of good teammates who move their contracts around in a very, it's a woozy, it's a wazy type of way. So we'll move right on over to Ryan Tannehill, restructuring his contract for 15 million off the books for Julio Jones to just come in and swoop it up.
There you go.
And hey, now there's an instance where contract negotiations can reflect someone as a good teammate
Yep.
or a bad teammate. I mean, you have Ryan Tannehill, and I won't even say bad teammate in this instance because I don't think any guy should ever have to restructure his deal to make some things work. I mean, I think that's the
Right.
organization. That's their challenge. But a guy should never have to restructure his deal. But when you guys have guys that are willing to restructure their deals, man, does it make your team be able to do so much more? And I think you're seeing that become more and more of a thing in the NFL, especially with Ryan Tannehill and Julio Jones here, because now this opens up things for Julio Jones to come in and be on the team. And I heard if Julio Jones wanted to restructure his contract a little bit, then that would open up some possibilities even further for the already menacing Titans. And it's pretty menacing, if I will say that.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, dude, that you got to take Julio, right? You got to do what you got to do. What you got to do to get him. If you got to move some
Yep.
money around, you got to do it. Now, here's the thing, right? I think you got to look at this a little bit differently, though. I think that some people would want to look at this and say this is a selfless move by Tannehill, right? And sure, it very well may be. It very well may be. However, if I'm being totally honest, this is also a really smart move by Tannehill
Very
and
selfish
for
as well.
himself. It could be selfish in the sense that sure, Ryan Tannehill is going to take $15 million like off right of his
Yep.
deal and or save them 15 million.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Move
there's
it
a bunch
around.
of accounting going on there. He's probably going to get that money anyway. But think about it. I'm sure Ryan Tannehill has bonuses that having Julio Jones on his team makes it more likely that he will hit, like performance
Yeah.
bonuses for yards and touchdowns and things like that. So that's already helping him get that money back. Then I'm sure that Ryan Tannehill's thinking Julio Jones gives us a chance to be more successful, which could get me a contract extension later in my career. That also is a situation that makes a lot of sense. So once again, I don't think a lot of people make it to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and especially the agent of a starting quarterback in the NFL, without really being able to look at things from more of like a 30,000-foot view, right? And take things in stride and make some decisions that on the surface may seem selfless, but
Yes.
at the same time, I think that might be Tannehill doing the right thing. And once again, this is where the media comes into play. People don't always think about that aspect, but who is the person that gets that story out necessarily, right? Is Tannehill's agent like calling that reporter at ESPN and being like, "Hey, my client is such a good dude. He's such a great guy that he took this pay cut. Don't look into the math too much because it's not actually a pay cut, but just take my word for it. My guy is the best. It's such a good pay cut. You get that out in the ecosystem, and now maybe Tannehill gets some more endorsements because people think he's such a great guy. And I'm not saying he's not, but I think that this is one of those things where there could be a little more going on underneath the surface.
Yes. Yeah. I I would agree. And sometimes you got to be a little selfish to be selfless. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's a whole kind of catch 22 there in that whole dynamic. So I always tell people, be selfish so you can be selfless. Um, but there is some things, kind of going on behind the scenes, different things like that. But speaking of things going on behind the scenes, Nicholas,
Uh,
haven't heard his name in the news too much, but what's going on with our boy Deshaun Watson? Is he going to play in Houston or is he not going to play in Houston? What's going on
I
there?
saw that headline and I mean, dude, like I don't see how he's going to play in Houston again. Like I don't see how that's a possibility. Like I mean, the once again, a lot of these things are alleged. So we don't want to, make any statements with certainty here, but a lot of the aspects of the Deshaun Watson story to me point to the fact that there is no way he can go back to Houston. There are people that think the Texans owner's lawyer is involved in this in some way, shape, or form. There are people who think that this was, a situation that was maybe being manipulated a little bit. So if any of that side of it was even remotely true, why would he come back? And then the flip side of it is once again, we want justice for whatever is real. So my argument is if
Yeah.
any side of this is real, I don't see how any of that would get him back to Houston. I don't see it. I could see how if some sides of this are the truth and certain things are the way they are, I could see him playing for another team definitely. But I don't see how if you talk to anyone at a bar and you said, "Hey, what do you think is actually going on with Deshaun Watson?" Whatever they tell you, that is not going to result in him playing in Houston next year, in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be interested to see what Houston fans thought about this because I think they would probably be on the same page that Deshaun is not going to play in Houston anymore. And the crazy thing too with the whole thing is like, I mean, that is an example of like bridges burned. You
Yeah.
talk about the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers situation. Like, yeah, there might have been like some structural damage to the bridge,
Yep.
but all repairable. Like this bridge is essentially London Bridge is falling down, and we're not talking children's stories here. We're talking real life stuff. And if Deshaun Watson did what he is allegedly being accused of doing, that's a very terrible thing. But if not, and for some reason, because there is that story out there of like, oh, it might be the organization, doing some stuff, and then they put that out there to get back at Deshaun Watson. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. Because even if there's a hint of like from Deshaun Watson's camp, like, oh, they definitely did this, even if just a little hint, all that trust is lost. There's no way he ever plays in Houston, I don't think. Now, will another team pick him up? Probably, definitely. Depending on how everything shakes out with this legal battle. But man, that has put a halt to everything at the quarterback conversation with Deshaun Watson. Now, I did hear Tyrod Taylor has been looking good. He's excited about the opportunity in Houston, really excited to showcase what he's got. And I tell you what, a guy like Tyrod Taylor, Tyrod,
Tyra,
I think that's actually it. Tyrod is announced.
there we all right.
I think I remember seeing that last year somewhere. But I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We're not linguists. So, but I'm excited to see if Deshaun Watson isn't in Houston. I'm excited to see him on the field because Tyrod Taylor, he's been dealt like the worst hand when it comes to like an NFL career, I think.
He really
And
has.
because I, played with Cleveland, gets hurt, Baker Mayfield comes in, slays. Goes to the Chargers, just gets a little puncture in the lung. Justin Herbert comes in, slays.
Yep.
Now he's in Houston, so we'll see what goes on there, but I think he might actually have a shot for this year because, like I said, I don't know if there's any way that Deshaun Watson does come back after all of this has come out. So, that's my kind of 2 cents on it. I think you hit it right on the head, Nick, that, yeah, he probably won't play in a Houston jersey anymore. And depending on what goes on, he may not be in the NFL, depending on what happens with this legal issue that he's found himself in. But it just goes to show, like, hey, guys, I know you want to get your dick tugged on when you're getting a massage. Don't do it.
Don't
Just
fall
don't.
for don't fall for the peer pressure. Don't fall into the pitfalls of the happy ending
Yeah.
because apparently your NFL career will be
Halted.
absolutely halted. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just not a good look for sure at the end of the day,
That's the
Um,
facts.
but kind of switching gears on a little more sad note. It's kind of going from like a weird thing to another sad thing. But Jim Fassel, R.I.P.
Yeah.
The Giants coach, made his way around the league. Coached with Coach John Elway as an assistant. Played quarterback for the Bears or was drafted by the Bears at the quarterback position. A guy that Michael Strahan has came out and said, I love. He was a great coach. He was a player's coach, which those are my favorite types of coaches. One of those coaches that are really entrenched with what's going on with their players, not just on the field but off the field as well. Nick, you got any favorite memories or favorite games that he might have coached in?
Yeah, I Jim Fassel, man. Jim Fassel's awesome. I think Jim Fassel's an interesting guy for people our age because when he coached in the Super Bowl, I think was the year 2000, and that would have put, for me at least, I was like 10 years old, so third, fourth grade,
Yep.
and that's when you start kind of really getting into football, like a little,
Yeah.
a little bit. You start to
Yeah, I would
actually.
have probably been that 2003, 2004 section.
Yep. So
So,
exactly. So it's like that's that kind of age range where you're like you
yep.
start to kind of figure out the teams a little, the players a little more. You start like just getting
Yeah.
these little inclinations of like the specifics of the league and stuff, and you become a fan of the NFL, right? You're not just a fan of a team when you're like in kindergarten or some shit. Like you start to kind of be like, okay, I see what's going on here as like a fifth grader. So right in that period of time, man, he was a staple in the NFL. But my favorite Jim Fassel game is the fact that I remembered this when I was reading back about him. So he was the Giants coach who lost in the Super Bowl when the Giants played the Ravens
Okay.
after Ray Lewis allegedly,
Yeah.
committed that homicide allegedly. Allegedly, that Super Bowl. People are very familiar with that Super Bowl because of that, right? So
Yep.
that the Giants lost that Super Bowl. However, to get to that Super Bowl in the NFC Championship game, they beat the Vikings 41-0. And that is by far, I think that is incredible. Like Jim Fassel gets in the NFC
Yeah.
Championship game. You have to imagine too, like at that time, like everyone's feeling good. You're like, wow, the
Yeah.
Vikings got a good team. look at like what they got going on here. This is going to be a pretty good game. I'm excited. You got Michael Strahan in the league. It's the NFC Championship game. The New York Football Giants, and they absolutely murdered them in the NFC Championship game. It was not a close game at all. 41-0, a shutout, like in the NFC Championship game. I just think that's awesome. And yeah, Jim Fassel, what a guy. Definitely
Yeah,
definitely a
go.
staple in the NFL. I'm sure a lot of people will be like, you'll see people on Twitter and stuff today talking about him because he was in the league forever, man. I mean, a guy that I think you definitely a very memorable coach in the time frame that he was in the league with the players that he had with the Giants, the success that they did have. So, pretty awesome. But yeah, him blasting the Vikings in the NFC Championship game, I think is just
Yeah.
awesome and just interesting because he coached in that Super Bowl, and that is like that is a famous Super Bowl because of the whole Ray Lewis deal. Like, so it's kind of nuts. Like, people remember that one, and yeah, he was the opposing coach in that game.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be missed around the league because when I was reading up a little bit more on him, he definitely stopped and or throughout his career to becoming the New York Giants coach. He definitely made his way around the league in assistant positions. Like I said, he coached John Elway as an assistant, which is like that's a pretty awesome thing to be able to work with one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it.
Yep, yep.
And so, and he was a quarterback as well. That's what he went to college. Got into the league, stuff like that. So very cool. He definitely will be missed dearly by a lot of people in the NFL. Fortunately, I haven't had the privilege to meet him, but hopefully one day I will get that opportunity. And I will say this, Nick, we kind of brought the mood down a little bit,
We did.
But I'm gonna lift it up right here. I'm gonna lift it up.
All right.
I'm gonna lift it up. I'm gonna try to lift it up. I'm gonna lift it up. Aaron Rodgers just reported to camp.
No way.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Oh, damn. Oh, no. I was going to change the lights as we spoke. Oh,
Oh,
no. No way.
wouldn't that be great?
Oh, man.
But
Oh, you got me
I
on
think
that
that's
one.
probably a more fitting way. Keep those lights green.
Oh,
Uh,
phenomenal. Phenomenal. You
oh,
freaking got me.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, hey,
So hey, we'll keep those lights.
if he does report to camp, guys, you will find out about it here. Maybe not first, but I think you'll find out about it loudest because I don't
Loudest
think
is
you're going
gonna
to find two people on the internet that will be more excited for that to happen. Partially just for us, I think one of the more entertaining things is going to be watching the rest of the league become immediately saddened
power and
because
fear too.
the Green Bay Packers on paper look unbelievable, and if they have Aaron Rodgers, it's really takes
And
them over the top.
and I saw an interview with Devin Funches the other day, and I was like, man, he's like, yeah, he's like, I've been in a situation where we lost a great quarterback when he was with the Colts and Andrew Luck retired. It's like, so really, like, it's whoever the 11's here that we're playing with, He's like, he's going to handle his business,
Right.
and he's got to do what he's got to do, but we need a lot of people just to focus on themselves here, which, very true.
No doubt.
But also, I'm waiting to break that story, not break it, but, like, talk about it, because, man, I'll be honest, we might get taken down from YouTube because my shirt's coming off. It's going to be nuts.
It's gonna be
But,
nuts.
hey, guys, it's Wednesday. It's hump day. Go hump something. Have the best day of the rest of your life. We are out of here. You got anything for the people at home, Nicholas?
Guys, if you want to, if you're noticing, we got a little drip on today. This hoodie, one of the more comfortable hoodies I've put on. This is not
This T-shirt is nice.
this is not me trying to bullshit you guys. I think if you're familiar with the show, you can probably trust us. I feel like you see us as some straight shooters. I'm shooting you straight. It's comfortable as hell. So if you're trying to get a little bit of that Monday evening football merch, real simple. We got the link in pretty much everything. Any YouTube video of ours that you're seeing, if you're watching this right now, the link's right in the description. Head on over, grab some merch for either Monday evening football, the brand itself, or you never know. Might have some merch on there with your favorite team. Might have some merch involving the team you root for. So, just
Yeah,
something to check out.
it's
But yeah,
we do just have to get around a couple copyright
that's
things
what it is.
because that I did find out that was the reason it was taken down. They
Oh,
thought we
interesting.
copyrighted, not the case.
Interesting. Then, yeah. See, so we got some
Yeah,
fun.
I think
What is?
they thought it was too close to the original logo.
Oh,
So, but okay, the cat's out of the bag now. Yeah, so there's definitely some team merch
is
coming out. We're working on the designs. We're working
is
with our
that
graphic
real? What
design
is
team.
that real?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
That's insane. All right, when you guys see it,
Well,
you're gonna know what we're talking
I
about.
mean, when you see it, it does look similar. I don't know if it was just their computer program just said it's like, oh, this is what that logo is,
Yeah,
because it's like the
colors
colors
and
and
everything.
it's close enough. But any human eye would know, like, yeah,
This
this
is
is
not the one, dude. So
not the
yeah. So
one.
anyway, so if you guys will see this now that we have that resolved. You'll see what we're talking about here, but in the next couple of days, we'll be able to show
Oh,
you
it's not
guys.
resolved yet. We're getting it, so it should be here before the weekend's out. I will say.
But yeah, great way to support the show. Always is to grab some merch. So yeah, I did just want to mention that. But otherwise, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. It's a nice day outside. Go enjoy it, like Scott said. And until then, adios.
Adios.